North Korean nukes, Syrian chemical weapons, all linked to desperate Zionists.
Opening தான் கூகுள் பண்ணி பார்த்தேன் இவள போல.
Posted by Benjamin. April 15th, 2013. The systematic takedown of the criminal Sabbatean Satan-worshipping Zionist cabal that seized power in the West through control of the financial system is continuing despite their ongoing threats of mass murder. The latest casualty, a victim of murder according to MI5, is Nat Rothschild, until recently the presumptive heir to the Rothschild dynasty. This information has not been confirmed by other sources, but the most recent public appearance this writer could find of him on the internet was March 26th. If he was killed, then he joins the former Pope, 26 microsecond generals, Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands and countless others in being removed from the apex of power in recent months. One possible hint that more cabal purges are in the works is the fact that Japan's Imperial Household Agency has still not said whether or not the Crown Prince will accept an invitation to the coronation of the new Dutch King Willem-Alexander on April 30th, even though an answer was supposed to have been given by the end of March. This may be related to an intensifying campaign to remove the Windsor, Saxe-Gotha/Rothschild family from the British throne, the House of Saud from control of the Arabian oil fields, and stooge President Obama from the White House, according to Gnostic Illuminati, MI5 and Vatican P2 Lodge sources. The cabal has been trying desperately to start a major war to keep in power, but nobody in control of serious military power is being fooled anymore. The people in the Pentagon know that it is the Zionist cabal that is behind both the North Korean nuclear threats and the talk of chemical weapons being used in Syria. They are not going to be manipulated into Zionist wars anymore, Pentagon sources say. Skull and Bones closet homosexual Nazi stooge U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry was in Asia last week stirring up trouble but was not being taken seriously. Kerry and his fellow Zionist agent Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad were both involved in the October surprise sabotage of the 1980 rescue mission of U.S. hostages being held by the Iranian government, according to MI5. During the Iranian hostage crisis, Ahmadinejad was one of the hostage takers. Al-Jadin had reported to CIA agent Tim Osman, aka Osama bin Laden, who in turn reported to George Bush Sr. during that operation according to both CIA and MI5 sources. Kerry worked on the U.S. side of this operation to ensure the hostages were not freed until after Bush and Reagan were elected. It appears that Kerry's visit to Asia was timed to coincide with the psychological warfare operation that was scheduled for April 13th but was aborted. Japanese TV stations had cancelled their regular TV programming for what was supposed to be a special announcement at 9 p.m. on the 13th. Several Japanese government offices also sent out false reports on that day that North Korea had launched a missile. However, nothing happened and the official North Korean news agency website was taken off the internet for a while when it became clear the North Koreans were no longer following the Zionist script. Obama's messengers had given North Korea $3 billion to stage provocations, but the North Koreans stopped cooperating when they found out that Israeli nuclear submarines were planning to stage nuclear terror attacks to blame on them, according to Japanese military intelligence. Here is a message to you, Kerry. You are a common criminal and you are going to go to jail along with your Nazi buddies. Pope Francis has the idea that George Bush Sr., Kerry's boss, will be charged with something soon, according to an Italian aristocrat close to the Vatican. The new pope also does not support Obama, according to this source. Perhaps that is why anonymous sources in the UK and Brussels fed a well-meaning but misguided group known as the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State, ITCC, information supposedly linking Pope Francis to the acquisition of Exocet missiles in Argentina during the Falklands War. While it is almost certain that P2 Lodge members were involved in the missile deal, The Catholic Church at the time spent most of its considerable energy and influence stopping the Argentine fascist junta from invading their neighbor Chile and trying to save innocent Argentines from regime murder squads. The new pope these days is evading his security guards and running around in a disguise of jeans and a sweatshirt trying to find out what is really going on, according to a Vatican source. The source admits the former president of the Vatican Bank was engaged in money laundering and that money laundering was still going on there. The Vatican has been laundering money for different kings and armies for centuries, the source said, adding that, after it is laundered, it can be used for good. The other person under attack these days is Queen Elizabeth and her family. A Gnostic Illuminati source says the Saxe-Gotha-Rothschild dynasty had criminally seized the throne and had to be removed. One of their members sent the following UK TV documentary as partial proof. http://www.youtube.com/watch?v=z5fiw low 1 trs. It basically says the kingship was usurped centuries ago by Edward IV. Other sources, including the daughter of abdicated King Edward VII, say the line was usurped again in the 19th century by the Rothschild and the German Saxe-Gotha families. This may all be true, but in Asia the belief is that whoever sits on the throne at present has the de facto mandate of heaven. It is up to the English people and the Privy Council to decide who sits on the throne. The increased attacks on the Queen may be linked to an intensifying investigation of the aborted nuclear terror attack on the UK Olympic Games last summer. The investigative trail has now led to former London Metropolitan Police Assistant Commissioner John Yates. Yates caused the wrongful arrest of the top SAS anti-terror agent in London by falsely blaming him of leaking information to the press that was actually leaked by Yates. Yates is now in Bahrain teaching the government there how to suppress demonstrators. Yates did a postgraduate in applied criminology at Cambridge along with Sarah Thornton, the woman who was promoted after UK bioweapons expert David Kelly was killed in her district. We have also been contacted by MI6 to let us know that when, as we reported previously, their agent Alexander Moore went to the Australian embassy in Tokyo and asked them to inform Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd of an impending nuclear terror attack against Japan, the embassy never passed the information on to Rudd. Instead they sent it straight to Washington, and that led to Rudd's removal, MI6 says. Rudd himself was only aware of plans to use new energy technology to turn Australia's deserts green. One final note. Google has been confirmed to be evil because it is actively hiding truth about Kabul mass murder. That means several top Google executives are now destined for jail or even worse fates.